Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. Okay, so we've got a Santa's sackload of questions for you today. We'll get to them right in a moment, but don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You're helping people find out and learn about Kendo by doing that, sharing it with your friends. More people find out about it. YouTube thinks it's great. YouTube shows it to more people see it, more people think, oh, what's this? It's Kendo. That looks interesting. I'll go and try it. And you have helped somebody start Kendo and therefore helped Kendo grow in the world. Just by sharing this video. Do your part. It's Christmas. Don't forget as well, support the channel if you like these videos. If you like, whether it's these videos, it's the instructional videos. I put one out about how to improve your door cuts last week. We've got loads of free, it's all free videos. All you've got to do is shop at KendoStar. It's the best Kendo equipment website in the world. Of course, I'd say that I own the place, but look at our reviews. We're best rated, definitely. There's got to be people in your dojo by now that are using and loving KendoStar. I think everyone's using KendoStar already. Okay, so, but if you're not, get with the program. Get shopping at KendoStar. Okay, let's get to these questions. Okay, so this first one, came to me sort of by direct message, I've changed it a little bit for the sake of privacy for the individual that sent it me, because they want to obviously remain a little bit anonymous. It is somebody I actually know personally, so I do have a little bit of inside information on this as well. So it's I think it's going to be a helpful one though, because I think it's something that's experienced a lot. So let's get straight into it. The question is, especially now after the pandemic, we all got all a bit rusty, how to train against the shikai, and if there's any strategy to tackle them, both at the dojo and at home. So the shikai is the 4 sicknesses of Kendo. Was like fear, confusion, hesitation, and there's another one. It's on the tip of my tongue, honestly. It's these sort of surprise, right? Surprise, that's it. These are sort of things that infect our mind that obviously affect our ability to perform the Kendo we want to perform when we want to do it. I don't think it's because of the pandemic though that we're rusty. I mean, it is because of the pandemic we're rusty, but I think the question is as valid despite that. Right, the question comes from something that happened to me during the national championship. So what I've done here is where I've put that in italics there. That's where I've changed it because I wanted to do, I changed the country that it's from. Okay, it was in a shikai with another lady. The coach told me to attack from the distance and do not fall into her game. Good advice. The shikai started, and 20 seconds or so after that, I did a kote and got ippon. Fantastic. From then on, the strategy the coach asked me to follow was to let the time pass. I remember that, and I instantly started to think a river of thoughts, one after another. What should I do? How to wait 3 minutes or more? It's going to look lame. I can't just defend. That's not Kendo. You can't stand 3 minutes in front of this lady. She's too strong. Let's do another point. Yeah. Conclusion, I felt fear, confusion, hesitation every shikai. Surprise came after as I decided to do another point. However, I was not trusting myself. I just threw myself without building or creating any sort of opportunity. And of course, I got a beautiful main cut in the head, courtesy of my opponent. Second time, the same happened. Don't get me wrong, my opponent was and is one of the strongest ladies in my country, and she did brilliantly. I'm just lost how to deal with shikai. I've never trained so hard as I do now, but still I feel I can't make it. I've never before felt this type of hesitation or fear and not to be able to do nice Kendo. I know I still have loads of technical details to polish and physical fitness to get better and better, but I'm more scared about this mental state than anything else. I do not know how to combat it or how to tackle it to improve. Any advice? Is it normal occurrence in the Kendo path? If I cannot improve it, I'm sure I'll not be able to pass selections for the Europeans. I'll defeat myself even before entering the Shiai. That's it. Sorry for the super long text. Thank you very much for your help. So this is a fantastic question, and it is a super common thing. It really is. So what we're talking about here is my Santa's hat is doing my head in already, but I've got hat hair, so we're going to keep it on. So what we're talking about is obviously these sort of things that cloud your mind during your match or during even your keiko. And, you know, yeah, whether that's fear, doubt, confusion, surprise, these are the 4 sicknesses of Kendo. So look, here's the thing. First of all, it comes from, and I mean this, like, this is going to sound harsh, but I'm saying this from experience because I have been in exactly this position, and it's very common with people who are not new, but who've been in their national team or participated at Shiai at a high level, but only for they're still relatively inexperienced, so maybe only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 tournaments under your belt. And in fact, it's something that does affect sort of high level Shiai players all throughout their career. I think it's something that I've struggled with as well throughout my Kendo career. So and it comes down to this: it's your ego, all right? It's your ego that's causing this. Yeah, you've said it yourself. Here's the sentence that gives that away. And I know this because I have been here, all right? So don't take this as me being mean, right? But here it is. It's going to look lame. It's going to look lame. It's going to look lame to who? Yeah? Who are you doing this for? Who are you performing to? Who are you trying to please? Yeah, that's you've got to try and abandon that, all right? Your coach gave you the exact right advice, all right? Don't fall into the game of the opponent. And then once you get a point, it doesn't mean just defend. Now, look, here's another thing. We're gonna go with some hot takes today. It's Christmas, so here's one, right? It's not wrong to defend. It's actually not wrong to defend. It's in the book. It's in the book. Okay, here's the book. This is the Japanese version. I don't have the English one to hand. I think I've left it at my house. But right in the beginning of the book, in the you've got your it's the same one. It's the official guide to Kendo instruction. It's just the Japanese version. So here it is. It's only a small section, but it's right at the front of the book. It's right after they tell you what the different techniques are. It tells you how to defend those techniques. Okay, it literally shows you how to defend. Okay, how to block. All right. So if someone tells you that it's wrong to block in Kendo, or it's not Kendo to block, it's not true, because it's in the official book how to block. Yeah. It's just that it's not always the best strategy. So we're well into this, but in the Shiai, you have to hit and not get hit. All right. It's not the grading. It's not, you're not doing it for the sake of other people watching. You have to compete with all of your effort towards your opponent. That is Kendo. That's what it is. That means you have to make maximum effort to make strikes and maximum effort not to receive strikes. Now, if you fall into just blocking, then you are going to receive a strike, because a good player will be able to overcome your defenses. It's not that it's not Kendo to do that. It's just it's a weak strategy. Okay. So, but once you take a point, and you have to, especially if you're against somebody that you know has got higher technical ability than you, or you might struggle to beat, then you have to use the time as well as a weapon in the Shiai. This is normal. This is part of the Shiai, and it's unfair to your opponent to not do that as well. because you have to give them the best shikai that you can. Now, that might be, like I say, using the time as a weapon. So that means that you have to not take the risks, don't jump around the place, just flying into hitmen. And this is what's happened, is you kind of let these thoughts, oh, I can't just defend. How am I going to defend for 3 minutes? What am I going to do? And then you decide, I'm going to go and hit a point, because you kind of succumb to the shikai. You're worried about what people are thinking. What's my coach thinking? What are the people watching thinking? What's my opponent thinking? What's my team thinking? I want to get another point. I want to satisfy my my ego and feel happy that I made 2 points. And then you've kind of unfortunately, you know, because you succumb to that, you've given them the chance to strike you. So take that as a lesson, first of all. And in terms of overcoming it, it's very, very, very hard. It's very hard to overcome this. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing. But what you have to do is, you must have seen The Last Samurai, right? You must have seen it, where he's getting beaten up, and then he gets told, too many mind. It's exactly like that, all right? It's exactly like that, all right? I told you before that doing Kendo isn't about being a samurai. It's not about sword fighting, but that specific moment in that film is applicable to Kendo, okay? Too many mind, okay? Mr. Miyagi said the same thing in The Karate Kid, right? I did a video about how the Karate Kid can help you in Kendo as well. And it's exactly like that, thinking this, thinking that, thinking too much, okay? Just have to try to overcome that, all right? Look, if you lose the shikai, if you receive the strike, it's not real sword fighting, so you don't die or get hurt. So you don't, you know, you have to accept that there might be consequences to what your the choices that you make, but you have to overcome the fears that you have. That might be the fear that you're going to receive a strike, so you have to be prepared to take the risk to make a strike yourself. But the thing is, what's happened here is, because you're like half and half. Like, it's not like you were like, okay, I want to really make a strike, and then you threw everything away and just made a strike. You kind of made a strike that was half and half. You were half afraid, half confused, half worried as to what you were supposed to do. You're supposed to be defending. It wasn't that you wanted to hit, you just didn't want to get hit. So, of course, that's a fantastic opportunity for them. So if you're going to attack, you've got to overcome everything and really throw everything at it. Otherwise, you have to overcome those sort of thoughts of, oh, I'm worried what people will think if I just block. Now, look, obviously, if you run around the shikai just blocking like this, yeah, like I say, someone's good that's going to pick you apart anyway. Or if you're not engaging at all in the shikai, then you're going to get hand suckers. So you've got to balance that. But that's going to come with experience as well, figuring out how that works. So, yeah. Don't think too much about what people think or look are sort of, you know, judging you as, and try to overcome when you practice with your seniors or at your squad trainings or whatever. Try to overcome the fears of being struck and just try to attack and make the fantastic strikes in your keiko. All right, so that you can practice this mindset of when you need it to focus on just the moment, just that opponent. Okay, it's a very deep and difficult topic. It's not, you know, it's one that's going to take a lot of working out. But if you know, I'm sure you'll be fine. Keep just putting all the effort in to get selection for your team for the European Championships, and I'm sure you'll make it. I'm sure you will. If you've made it before, then I'm sure you'll make it again. All right. Next one. As always, thanks a lot for your contributions to Kendo. I have what I think is a very basic question. I have trouble understanding the intention and purpose of renzoku-waza. Let's take kote men, for example. If we can hit kote ippon, why follow up with a men? And as a men strike, is the men strike a backup in case the kote was not good enough? Or is the kote strike meant to create an opening for men? Are renzoku-waza used in shikai, or are they simply a training method to practice zanshin? Thanks a lot. So there's different types of renzoku-waza. We normally in Kihon we practice the kote men, where it's directly after the kote men this way. But there's different ways you can use it. Okay, there's one way you can attack the kote and then immediately attack the men if the kote is not successful. This is also renzoku-waza. There's also where you do attack immediately, and the kote is more of a method of creating in the opening to strike the men. So both of these are correct. Both of these are correct depending on the situation. All right. Also, there's the time when the opponent attacks your kote and you do kote men, and it becomes like you strike the kote down. It's like kote uchi or toshi men as well. So they are valid techniques. They are used in shiai. But it's not that there's only one type of them. It depends on the situation. Sometimes you'll attack kote, it didn't hit, so you immediately follow up with men. Sometimes you'll do the kote men as a sort of single movement, as a way to create that opening for men. All right, so both of those are valid and both of them exist. Next one. Thanks for the answers on the matter of oiling the Shinai. Aside from oiling them before their first use, would you also recommend oiling them periodically? If so, how often? And lastly, what kind of oil do you recommend? I'm currently using olive oil. I wouldn't use olive oil, to be honest. The best is walnut oil, which you can buy at KendoStar, or you could probably buy it somewhere else. That's the best. But otherwise, you could use like vegetable oil. I wouldn't necessarily use olive oil. I've heard that it's a little bit acidic. I don't really know. I've never really used it. In terms of how often you should do it, it depends on the climate in your country, but probably every couple of months or every 3 to 6 months. Just sort of have a sort of judge on the Shinai itself. Okay. You shouldn't have to oil them all the time. All right. You shouldn't have to oil them all the time. I'll let you into a bit of a secret. All right. I never do it. I'm super lazy. I never do it. I just, now I have the benefit of, operating probably one of the world's biggest Kendo stores. So I can just get Shinai whenever I want. But I never break Shinai. I never break Shinai. I break like one a year. Okay. Maybe 2. All right. And it's down to, I've talked about this before. If you're breaking your Shinai, it's not because you're not oiling them enough. All right. It's not. Right. Now, if you live in a dry country, you live in a dry place, you need to definitely oil the Shinai every so often. But, the UK is not as humid as Japan, for example. And like I say, in the last 12 months, probably 24 months, obviously, we've not done a full year of practice, but I've only broken one Shinai, and I've practiced quite a lot. All right. I've said before, the way you use a Shinai determines whether you're going to bust it or not. All right. If you're not properly using your left hand, then you're not properly letting the Shinai. Now, this is a Suburi Shinai. I'm just using it for the sake of example. But you're not letting the Shinai flex fully from its tip right down to the Tsukagashira. All right? You need to use the left hand to cut. If you're using your right hand, then the amount that you're letting it flex is much shorter than it's designed for. And that's when they break, basically. Okay? So if you're finding you're breaking a lot, look at your technique as well. Yeah. But, oil them every so often. Oil them when they're new. And then if you live in somewhere dry, oil them every couple of months. Andy, in multiple videos, you've explained that Kendo is not sword fighting. I found this very helpful to understand, but in all my years of practicing Kendo, I've never heard anyone else but you put it that way. Why do you think that is? Most people seem to understand martial arts in terms of self-defense primarily, or perhaps fighting made pretty secondarily. With Kendo in particular, outsiders probably see it as live-action role-playing in samurai costumes. What responsibility and role do sensei have in helping people understand what Kendo actually is? Okay, so it's a difficult one. Yeah, I think I'm one of the few people that does sort of openly sort of go around saying that Kendo isn't sword fighting. It's probably a bit of an extreme take because obviously Kendo is derived from sword fighting and it is connected to sword fighting. But what I mean by it is that it's not there to help you learn how to better win sword fights or duels. That isn't what Kendo exists for, at least not in its current context. So that's what I mean by that. Yeah, so you're not going to suddenly become a better sword fighter. Like, lots of people do like other stuff as well as Kendo. I know it's popular to do like is it HEMA, historical European martial arts, and Kendo as well, and they're totally different things as far as I don't know a lot about HEMA, to be fair. I could be totally kind of doing HEMA a disservice here, but my understanding of HEMA is that it's learning how to fight effectively with sort of European style weaponry, but Kendo's not that at all, so it's no help to you whatsoever. And if there's parallels, they're coincidental. It's not that Kendo is definitely gonna. It is there to help you improve at that sort of thing. Now, it might do, but so might ballet dancing. I don't know. So, here's the thing. I think the reason that sort of turn of phrase that I use that Kendo's not sword fighting is like I say, it's quite an extreme way of putting it, and I think that might be one of the reasons that not many people say that. I think another thing is there is a balance to be had. If you sort of kick off too hard, you know, it's not sword fighting, it's not sword fighting, then you're gonna sort of, there are people that, and I was like that myself. I got into Kendo because I wanted to learn about sword fighting. Yeah, I love Star Wars, I loved history, I love swords. I wanted to learn to be a sword fighter. So yeah, I got into it that, and then I found it was something else. So if someone had told me in the beginning, well, it's not sword fighting, maybe I'd have never started it in the first place. So there is a risk to be taken there. You've got to kind of, there's an advantage in a way to the misunderstanding that Kendo is going to make you into a good sword fighter. So I think that's part of it as well. So it's finding that right balance, and that might be why that some people stray away from it. And I think as well, there are some people, even who are reasonably high level, that is kind of still trying to convince themselves that it is sword fighting, and they are kind of modern day samurai in a way. So I think there's that too. Now I'll pick up on your term martial arts. Like, I don't like that term to describe Kendo. Actually, it's the fact we only have that word in English really that seems accurate to describe Kendo, but in Japanese there's a distinction between budo, which is like Kendo, Iaido, Judo, Aikido, Karate-do, these sort of budo, and what is called kakutogi, which is like combat sports. Your things like your MMA, or these sort of fighting styles, which are about practical fighting, whereas budo is not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be a vehicle of self-improvement. That's why it's do, yeah. So I don't really like it, although I haven't got much choice using the term martial arts to describe Kendo, because Kendo is not the kakutogi. It's not that kind of thing. It's not like a self-defense or some sort of practical fighting system. It's not designed to be that. Okay. In terms of what role does Sensei have in helping people understand it? Well, obviously it's there. They've got a key role in that, haven't they? But at the same time, they've got to balance that with also ensuring that new students come through the door, but then they have to teach them in the right way. Yeah, because if they misunderstand it, they're going to do it wrong, and then they're not doing Kendo anyway. Okay. And as for outsiders seeing it as live action role playing in samurai costumes, I don't care what outsiders think. I mean, I'm lying. That's not true. They do. I do care what outsiders think, because they might see it and think, "Oh, that looks cool. It's samurai cosplay. I'll go and have a go." And they might, like I did, and find that it's something much more than that, and that they really love it. So, that's not necessarily a negative. Hi Andy, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Same to you. I've been seeing lots of clips with door strikes performed without fumikomi. Can you shed some light on Kikentai no Ichi strikes without fumikomi? Can you be awarded Ippon for men and Kote strikes without fumikomi? What are the rules for that? Okay, so fumikomi is not a prerequisite of Yuko Datotsu or Kikentai no Ichi. Kikentai no Ichi is it's Kikentai, so it's body, not Kiken Ashi or Kiken Fumikomi. It's Tai means body, all right? So this is I had a little bit of a rant about this in my dojo the other day, because I think it's a misunderstood or misinterpreted aspect of Kendo, is that fumikomi equals Kikentai no Ichi, and that you have to stamp at the same time as hitting, when you don't. It's not it's not the stamp that should be timed with the strike, it's the leap forward. Okay, and that's why if you watch in really slow motion, the top players, their strike actually lands like a split millisecond before their foot. It's not because they're not trying to time their foot landing with their strike. They're leaping forward with fumikiri and fumikomi and striking all at the same time. That's Kikentai no Ichi. So in terms of strikes without fumikomi, yes, lots of do strikes you don't use fumikomi. You don't use fumikomi for most like gyakudo strikes. You don't use it for kaishido or nukido, men nukido. You don't use it for those kind of strikes. You just use a suriashi. And yeah, it's definitely possible to do other strikes without fumikomi as well. It's rare, but it's definitely possible. What matters is that the body and the sword and the spirit are all unified to obviously equal Kikentai no Ichi. Okay, so yeah, it's absolutely that. And this is a discussion I've had with people who've come to me and said, like, look, I can't do fumikomi, so what should I do? It's like, well, you don't have to do fumikomi. You can do it a different way. And you know, it's not common, but it's definitely possible. Hi Andy, my question this time has to do with the fact that the closest dojo I could find doesn't do testing through a Kendo Federation, it does it through a Korean Kumdo Federation, and this is an hour and a half away from me. The next nearest dojo would be 3.5 hours to 4 hours away, leaving me puzzled on what I should do. Should I practice at the dojo that doesn't do the testing through a Kendo Federation and travel to the other one for testing? I'm a little puzzled and a little let down on my progress. I was hoping you could guide me. I hope all is well and very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year as always. Thank you for the amazing videos and answers. Have a fantastic day. Thank you very much. Look, for the time being, just go to the nearest dojo. You know, as long as it's got some sort of federation, even if it's not necessarily tied to the national federation, make sure it looks like Kendo, no? You know, you can see what we're doing, right? Looking on YouTube, but, you know, go to the nearest one for the time being. And then once you've been there for a bit, explore the options of whether you can just go and test in the other federation so that you can get your ranks in the other federation as well. You obviously have to talk to the teacher at your at that dojo, because you don't want to put anyone's nose out of joint, right? That's that for the time being. I'd suggest doing that, and then you can figure out what the best course of action is once you've got a little bit of experience of doing that under your belt. And you know, it's not that it's better than not doing Kendo, right? So that's what I would do. I have a question regarding how to handle new people walking into our dojo. Currently, my dojo is a group of 6 to 12 Kendo-ga, most of whom are first to third dan. Over the pandemic, we've not always been open to new members, and as such, we do not currently have too many or many new people at most of our classes. In my opinion, this has led to an awkward experience for people who do come in and try Kendo for the first time. Our sensei generally takes the whole class down to the basics the first time a new face walks in. I feel like the new person can tell that they've interrupted the class and the existing members were anticipating. Retention of new prospective Kendoka has always been an uphill battle, but any ideas how to keep new people would be appreciated. I do feel like getting new people together as a group is very helpful, but generally we only see a new face every 1 to 3 months in my dojo. Okay, so I get it. You know, look, the fact of the matter is, you know, it is difficult to keep beginners. I don't personally look, if I was taking beginners on an ad hoc basis, like as when they come, I wouldn't be sort of dropping the whole class down to their level, to be honest. But having said that, I teach pretty basic stuff to all my students anyway. So, you know, for the first bit of the class, probably we could all do some basic stuff so they could do something everybody together. It's good for everybody that. And then what I do is, if I was the dojo leader, then probably I'd have somebody, obviously a dojo full of first to third dan people, so the competent people, right? So someone else can lead the rest of the practice while I taught the beginner, or I delegate teaching the beginner to someone else. We could do someone else every week. It's good for them to do that as well. So I think that's a better way to do it, to give them a little bit of one-to-one instruction with somebody, rather than sort of bringing the whole class down, because then, like you say, then that beginner also sort of feels the pressure on that and feels like they're kind of, you know, feels a little bit like they're holding everybody back, and then they might feel a little bit reluctant to keep coming. So that's the way I probably do it. You know, so get a new person. Everybody does sort of super basic warm up, super basic stuff right in the beginning. Then we'll separate, and either I'll take the beginner and I'll have someone else lead the rest of the class, or we'll delegate. Maybe each week that person comes, and I still think it's best if you can try and get people in as a group, though. That's it. I know you're saying you only get a new person every 1 to 3 months, but you know, if you tried to get people in, if you did a beginner's course, let's say like a beginner's intake. This is what I do in my dojo, for example. We have a beginner's intake, and okay, so I decide it, say 4 weeks or 3 weeks in advance, and then I advertise it, and I try and get as many people signed up to it first, and then they all come, all right? And I do that periodically, and then it's easier then, because then what you've got is you've always got a group of beginners. So if you get an ad hoc person, it's easy to sort of just blend them in, you know, as well. So that's what I do. Next one, I'm a bit curious about the burger industry in Korea in general. Okay. Do they have their own market and burger workshops? If so, are the parts also made there, or do they import from Japanese workshops? Is KendoStar also already an established brand in Korea? Happy holidays to you, your family, and stay healthy. Thank you very much. So look, I don't know a massive amount about the burger industry in Korea. I know quite a bit. I've been a few times, and I know, you know, I know about I don't know about like the burger shops, because I don't speak Korean so much, but I know there's a lot of burger shops there. I know more about the kind of industry behind it. There's not many workshops in Korea. There's a couple. It's just like Japan. There's hardly any workshops now. They're all abroad. They're all in China or in other countries these days, actually. So yeah, I know that some Korean burger shops also do import from Japan. Sometimes they import the stuff that the Japanese companies made in China, which is kind of a funny thing, but and sort of sell it as imported from Japan. But and I know they also do. There's other ones that do import the stuff that's actually the limited stuff that's actually made in Japan. I talked about how I feel about all that sort of stuff before, anyway. So yeah, it's a lot like how it is in Japan, but just a bit smaller, from what I understand. Hi Andy, I was wondering if you could expand a bit on strategy behind movements before and during the setup to an attack, such as moving off the line to open an easier path to kote or men. Also, I really love the video did where you offered advice from training footage sent by a viewer. Are you planning on dedicating a new series of the Kendo show for it, like Kendo RANT or Zero to Shodan? Okay, so like strategy behind movements during, before or during a setup to an attack, such as moving off the line to open an easier path to kote men. That's a really deep topic. It's not really all that simple. It's not something, well, you could do this or do that. I mean, look, the best thing you can do to prepare yourself to make a strike is make sure that you are in a position from your kamae to always make an immediate strike. So that means having your left foot ready to launch you into fumikomi immediately at all times. And if you're able to do that, then with good kamae, then you'll find that that affects your opponent's response to your movements, and more opportunities will be created. The thing is to do that takes years and years of practice. So I don't want to say like, okay, well, one thing you can do is step this way, one thing you can do is that. I mean, there are some things like that, but the other thing, of course, is using your Shinai to deal with the or work with the space that you can create. If you push an opponent's Shinai down, of course, then the space in front of them becomes much bigger and feels much more threatening to their men, right? So they're more likely to open their kote by raising their hands. If you sort of threaten up towards their men, it's possible that they might try to block this way. If you move this way, as if you're gonna sort of threaten towards their kote, then their hands might open this way. You might get a route to men. You're gonna have to experiment, and it depends on, you know, the situation with the people in your club as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too much further into that. All right, watch your opponent, figure out how they respond to your movements, and then make sure that you're able to strike immediately from a good kamae. In terms of the footage that I did that somebody sent in, that was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. It's been really well received. So if people want to do that, let me know. you know, I'm more than happy if people want to send me a video for feedback, that I'll do the same sort of thing. If you want to send some in, go ahead and I'll do another video like that. Next one. Hi, Andy. Thanks for the great content. Thank you. My question is, what rank do you suggest using a door body Shinai? It's not related to your rank at all. You don't need to worry about what rank you need to be, but what you need to think about is when you're choosing a different Shinai. If you're choosing a door body Shinai, just remember it's thinner at the tip and it's fatter at the body. So that means that the tip's thinner. It means it's a little bit more delicate. So if you start using it for loads of kirikai and uchikomi, it's not going to last you as long. All right. But yeah, I mean, it's not something that you have to be like, okay, you should use it once you get second dan. It's nothing like that. Once you've been doing Kendo for a bit and you feel like you want to try out some different types of Shinai, try them out, see what you feel like. All right, that's the only thing I'd say about that. Nobody should be gatekeeping you on that sort of stuff. All right, it's wrong to do that. Same with your burger. Andy, I took advantage of the Junkie Gold sale. Thank you very much. I absolutely love how they look. That's the current limited edition smoked Jisengata Junkie Shinai that we've got there. Awesome. Is there additional maintenance or changes to how to care for the smoked Shinai? I've read that the smoked Shinai and bio-treated Shinai are the same thing, and they do not need oil. That idea makes me uncomfortable. Please enlighten me the truth of the matter. One more thing, if you please. Based on the question from last week, I began thinking, is there any difference between Isoku Ito no Mai, one step, one cut interval, and Uchima, striking distance? It seems they could be used interchangeably, but maybe I'm just missing something. Thank you so much. Happy holidays. Thank you. So look, about the smoked Shinai, I would do exactly the same as you do with any other Shinai with them. To be honest, I don't. If you normally oil your Shinai, I've already made the confession earlier, I don't tend to do it that much. But if you already oil your Shinai a lot, then do it with those two. It certainly won't do them any harm. About Isoku Ito no Mai. So Isoku Ito no Mai is the official term, and Uchima is the kind of colloquial term or the non-official term, and they do pretty much mean the same thing. They're just interchangeable words. All right. So yeah, they're basically the same thing. Hi Andy, what is your knowledge? What is in your knowledge the best replacement to Izome dye? I'm looking to make my equipment look better, but I can't get the Izome dye right now, even with the amazing prices on your store. Well, we don't sell it on our store, so that's why you can't get it, regardless of the price on our store. If you want it from our store, we'll get it for you. It's not cheap though, but I don't recommend using a alternative. There isn't one. You know, it's like, okay, what you're basically asking me, okay, I have a bicycle, but I can't get any wheels for it. So what do you recommend as an alternative? It's like, there isn't one. Yeah. There isn't one. Okay. Sorry. But if you use some like alternative, like Dylon or something, I don't know if that's a brand name, but anyway, if you use something like that, it's going to look different. It's going to look odd. Guarantee it. It's not going to look right. Okay, last one. Hi, Andy. I just started Kendo a couple of months ago, and I love it. Good. I'm seeking advice on how to improve my balance. I know that it will improve with practice, but I was wondering if you knew any way to do it when training at home. I still struggle with my balance in Chudan no Kamae when facing someone who's active. It's kind of hard to simulate someone pressuring you when practicing by yourself. My senpai usually give me pointers on my swings and will sometimes point out that I'm pointing too high with my Shinai when in Chudan no Kamae. I assume that my Ashisabaki is not so bad and my posture is good. Any tips would be much appreciated. And also, I really like the content you put out there and your positive attitude. It feels like having a sensei at home. Cheers. Oh, good. Well, that's the idea. So, okay. There's no quick fix to this. It is mainly practice, but there's two things that's probably the cause. It's really common amongst people who are just starting out. One is your feet are probably too close together this way. You could probably have them a little bit further apart. Secondly, your hips are probably too far forward. All right, your hips are probably too far forward. Let's see if I can show this on the camera. I don't think I can. I don't have the space. But basically, your hips here are probably too far forward. You want to push them back a little bit, all right? So if I can get on the thing there, that's why your Kensen's too high. Get the microphone up here so you can hear me. That's why your Kensen's too high, because you're pushing your hips forward a little bit too much. I'm exaggerating, of course. You're not going to be like this, but in your Chudan, just push them back a little bit, all right? So that your your head is definitely over your hips. And you're going to find that's going to make a big difference to the balance. What you're doing at the minute, right, is your hips are a little bit too far forward. That's why your kensen's coming too high. You're using your hips to kind of take the weight of the Shinai off your arms, okay? But you can't do that. You must grip it better with your left hand. Push the hips back slightly so that your head, shoulders, spine, hips are all aligned straight, all right? And that will definitely help you with your balance. That's it for today. Thank you for joining me. Have a fantastic and wonderful Merry Christmas. This won't be the last you hear from me this year. I don't think. I'll put another message out to say thank you to everybody, but I'll say it here as well. Thank you everybody so much for supporting my activities, whether it's on here, on YouTube, or whether it's KendoStar, whatever. I really do appreciate it. It's been a real roller coaster of a year, should we say? But it's been thanks to the support of every one of you that we've made it the success that we have. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful festive time, holiday season, and I'll speak to you before the end of the year. Bye bye.